Again, if you're just joining us, hello, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's so wonderful to have you here on Quad Education's webinar. Before we get started, I do have just a couple of housekeeping rules. First and foremost, this webinar is recorded. What that means is you will be receiving a copy of it in your inbox within a couple of days of tonight's webinar. Feel free to share that link. Feel free to save it, share it with your network, rewatch it, send it to your parents or your student, or it's yours to keep. Additionally, we're looking at running this webinar for about 45 minutes. We will have some time at the end for question and answers, but please feel free to drop your questions in the chat, whether it's the chat or the Q&A box throughout the course of the webinar, and we'll make sure that our expert gets to them. If by chance we don't get to them, we apologize, but we will make sure that you do receive a follow-up so you can have that answer and sort of have that one-on-one time. Now, kind of went over those rules. I'm excited to share a little bit about who we are and what we offer, whether you know Quad or not. So Quad Education is a globally recognized global admissions consulting firm with the largest team of admissions counselors in the world. With a 98% success rate, our students are 11 times more likely to get accepted at their top choice colleges. We assist students from the 6th grade to undergraduate transfer candidates to bachelors of science and nursing candidates in applying for their dream schools. We offer a virtual research program to assist students in finding research and shadowing opportunities as part of the personalized research project. Our personalized one-on-one counseling pairs students with admissions counselors to craft compelling and competitive profiles and applications. Each year, we chat directly with admissions officers in a roundtable style event. This allows us to be in the loop on what colleges are searching for in applicants. College admissions criteria can change drastically year over year, so this is why we really try to keep up to date on what the current admissions trends are. We are firm believers in starting the college application process as early as possible. From our middle schoolers to early high schoolers, we offer early college candidacy and profile development. This process focuses on building each student's resume to highlight their strengths. We want the candidate to really stand out, so we work with your student to identify clubs and leadership opportunities, find extracurricular activities, and volunteer opportunities. And we assist in creating next year's class schedule as well. Our college development program extends outside of the classroom and the regular school year. Since schools are looking at much more than academics, our counselors also help to plan summer activities. These can include summer courses, internships, shadowing, and research opportunities. We are also looking for ways to give back to the community. So students are encouraged to create service projects that are meaningful to them, and they can showcase these to their colleges. Once we've helped shape an outstanding candidate, we extend our support in shaping the perfect application. This typically happens during the summer months after the student's junior year of high school. Our main focuses are personal statements and supplemental essays. We guide students in selecting the most fitting prompts, brainstorming ideas, and structuring their essays effectively. We offer an unlimited number of edits for both the personal statement as well as supplemental essays, ensuring that each piece reaches its full potential. These essays serve as platforms to showcase the best aspects of our students, drawing connections between their individual lives and the overarching themes of each school that they apply to. Outside of essays, we offer end-to-end application support, from the activities listed to interviews and scholarships. We help students identify which honors and activities display their range using a telling framework over a showing framework. We want to make sure admissions counselors can see really the impact that this candidate has on their peers and their community. Counselors also assist students in gathering letters of recommendation from teachers, creating templates for recommenders to utilize to ensure the correct story is being told. In terms of interviews, our counselors will place students in mock interview settings with sample interview questions and ample feedback. The goal is to increase confidence in themselves, so when the interview day comes, they are ready to take on that challenge. Lastly, we offer scholarship support. This is an all-inclusive, from finding scholarships they qualify for to assisting in the application process to the submission. Overall, our goal is to build the perfect candidate and application. We utilize every tool in our skill set to ensure that products we create with our students stand out from the rest of the pack. If you're interested in learning more about us and our packages, we offer personalized free consultations via phone, via email, or via video, ensuring individualized support. Our admissions counselors are always ready and willing to help you through the process so that you don't have to navigate it alone, no matter where you are in the college application process. That's all for me. That's all the time I will take from you. Please, thank you for listening, and please keep an eye out on your email for a link to schedule your consultation, or please feel free to respond to the email you receive with this recording with any questions you may have. With that being said, I'd love to really get to the meat and potatoes and why you're here tonight to discuss starting your personal statement and really putting the pen to paper. So what that looks like is the introductions. We'll be discussing developing a personal statement topic, structuring your personal statement, ensuring a common thread throughout the personal statement, final tips, and of course that question and answer period that we mentioned before. Now, who is your presenter tonight? Who is our panelist? Unfortunately, Kai was not able to make it today, but we do have Arianna joining us, who's an admissions counselor at Dartmouth College. I will let her take it from here and speak about herself and really begin tonight's webinar.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Arianna Lee. I am a counselor here at Quad Education, and I am a graduate of Dartmouth College, graduated with my bachelor's in neuroscience, and I've gone on to mentor and assist many students like yourself demystify the application and admissions process, helping to gain admissions to top universities all across the world, as well as scholarship programs and specialized programs. So I love talking about this project, this topic today of how to craft your personal statement. So let's dive in together. I love to hear from each and every one of you all if you have any questions after, but let's dive in. So first things first, developing a personal statement. The topic, how do you craft and figure out the topic, and what is the personal statement's purpose and impact? Well, as you all know, at going through admissions process, or as you all are getting to know, going through the admissions process, there are a lot of competitive applicants that will be similar to yourselves, depending on what field you're choosing to go into. So the personal statement is truly the essential part of the college application process. It's one of the few opportunities out of the entire application to truly showcase your personality, your experiences and accomplishments to the admissions committee. Think about the application itself. You have test scores, you have test scores, you have, hi, hello. Hi, sorry about that. So you have test scores, you have different factors of the application, like your grades and your letter of recommendation. The thing that helps you stand apart is your personal statement. So a well-written personal statement can set a student apart from the competition and increase their chances of being accepted into their desired college. So when choosing a topic, so brainstorming some of the ideas, right? So how do you choose a topic to go off of for your personal statement? You want to start by brainstorming a list of potential topics, and this can include personal experiences, your academic achievements, community service. It can truly be anything that you think is relevant. It can be a hobby, it can be anything. But the most important thing is it is something genuinely that you are connected to, right? That you have interest in, that you feel that you can write on. So once you have a list of potential topics, narrow it down to one or two that you are truly passionate about. And then you would want to go into your next step of writing more on those particular topics. Identifying a central theme. So the theme is, think of the theme as your vehicle of what you're going to write the essay about. So your theme can be, I've had one student who was actually recently admitted into MIT. They wrote about the Rube Goldberg machine, and they talked about following the marble through and related it to their own life. So they talked about how the marble passed through each part of the machine that they constructed and how it related to different aspects of their own life. So a theme can truly be anything. Once you have chosen a topic, it is important to identify a central theme that ties your essay together. This could be a particular experience, passion, or value that has shaped who you are. The central theme shouldn't be evident throughout the personal statement. Hello. Hi, Kai. Did you want to introduce yourself and go to the next slide?
Yes. Sorry, there was some problems connecting to the live stream, but I'm here now. My name is Kai, and I graduated from Stanford University, and I am a counselor here at Club.
Awesome. I just finished this slide. If you want to go to the next one.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. So after choosing your topic, I think it's really important for you to outline and really structure your personal statement. And here, creating an outline. So make sure that when you're creating an outline, you really are very intentional and have a purpose. This is really an important step when you're writing, especially in organizing your thoughts and ideas and ensuring that like your narrative, has a common thread to it. And you want to make sure that each story or each part of your personal statement has a component that follows a logical sequence, so that when the reader is kind of reading through it, they kind of can follow the outline.
Absolutely. And also when structuring your personal statement, so establishing that structure, you want to start with the intro paragraph. Your intro that's the hook. That's what's going to reel the reader in, keep them interested, right? So your intro paragraph should set the stage for your entire statement. This paragraph should cover your central theme and provide a brief overview of what you'll be discussing in your personal statement. Remember, this is the point in your essay that you want to capture your admissions officer's attention. You don't want them to put it down. Think of it like the trailer of a movie. You want to keep them reading the rest of your essay.
Yes, I know there was some trouble hearing my audio. Is this better?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay. Yes. So having a structure in your personal statement, so that comes with having different body paragraphs, right? First, you want to divide your essay into different paragraphs, and each paragraph should start with their own topic sentence. And you should have a topic sentence that introduces the main idea of your paragraph, and it really supports like the overall theme. And you want to make sure after having a topic sentence, you use very specific details and examples to really illustrate your points. And this is what makes your personal statement really engaging. It really helps the reader to understand who you are and your experiences and what you've done. And from paragraph to paragraph, make sure you use transitional sentences so that they can be linked together and create a flow between each of your ideas.
Awesome. And just like the intro and the body paragraphs, the conclusion is just as important. The ending with a conclusion paragraph should summarize everything that you've already talked about, and it also should restate your central theme. And this is the paragraph that's going to leave that lasting impression on your admissions officer, okay? So it's important that you are leaving them just as much energy as you started. Overall, it's important to be concise and clear when outlining your personal statement. Each paragraph should focus on one main idea and should be organized in a logical way. And do remember, a good acronym to follow is STAR: situation, task, action, result. Situation, I have a test. Task, I'm going to study. Action, I studied by meeting with the teachers and preparing every night. Result, I did excellent on my test. Think of it in that method when you are outlining and working on each paragraph.
And the last part is making sure you really have an impactful introduction and conclusion, because the introduction is what will draw the reader in, and the conclusion will leave the reader with an impression of who you are. And Yes, so because it really sets the tone for your essay, like I said, and you want to really leave a good, strong note with the reader so that they can like remember who you are and actually, you know, have your essay stand out compared to all the different essays they will read.
Awesome. And then crafting that impactful introduction. So like we said, start with a hook. Grab the reader's attention by starting with a compelling statement or question that relates to your personal story. So if you're talking about being afraid or anxiety about a test, right? You don't want us just to say, or you don't want to just say, I have anxiety about this test. We want to feel it as the reader. We want to see the sound of the chalk against the board made my hairs on my arms stand up, and the perspiration for the impending doom that was to follow. We want to feel what you are going through. We want to feel all of your emotions. So think of the 5 senses when you're writing the intro and every other paragraph as well, so that you keep the reader engaged. State your thesis. In the introduction, you should state the central theme or thesis of your personal statement. This will help to guide the rest of your essay. And make sure as you're writing your outline, you keep that what your theme is written down. You keep what your thesis is written down so that you remember, this is what I have to keep coming back to. What is my point? That way you're not getting lost in the sauce, okay, so to speak. But provide context, give some background information on your experiences or accomplishments that led you to your central theme. Every time that you're writing something, think about, why is this important that I'm telling the reader this? Why is this important to me that I'm sharing this with my admissions officer? Is this something that is truly defining of who I am and that I want, that I want to share that will help me get into this particular institution? Okay, so keep thinking of the why. Why is this important?
And with the conclusion, you really want to come back to your main points. You want to briefly summarize the key points and really tie them together so that, the reader can like have a fresh memory, keep it fresh in their memory, and then also restate your thesis, right? So if you have like a central theme that you focus on in your personal statement, you want to make sure you go back to that question or you go back to that story and emphasize why it's really important and relevant to who you are and like what you want to express. And this really will help leave a lasting impression. And I would say it's good to really think about like what is the last sentence you want to end with, because this is kind of like the concluding sentence that you'll leave with the reader. So you want to make sure that like the last sentence really connects with your personal story, but also like projects into the future.
I like that. Yes, putting that last sentence first in mind, because some people even when they're having trouble even starting to write, they'll write their conclusion first sometimes. So I like that idea. That's cool. Ensuring a common thread throughout your personal statement. So like we said before, using transitions. So using transitional words and phrases, it helps to keep the reader moving forward, right? And it also helps to reiterate what was the main idea of this particular paragraph. It helps to keep the reader on track of where you're trying to go. Using transitional words and phrases help to link your ideas together and create a seamless flow throughout your personal statement.
And it's important to just choose one theme and really stick to it, because having like a central theme that ties together all your experiences really emphasizes like who you are, right? If you have too many things going on, if you have too many stories to tell, sometimes you'll spend too much time trying to talk about the stories and it can be a little bit all over the place or like not focused. So if you can really hone it down to one particular event, a set of values, or a personal trait that really defines who you are, and have that like be stated throughout your personal statement, that would be really strong.
Absolutely. Yes, exactly. I agree. And it's easy to get lost or to when you're trying to tackle so much, and especially if you're trying to really be unique and creative and out of the box, it's easy to get lost. So that's why it's important to have that outline in place. Stay focused and avoid tangents. Avoid including any irrelevant information that does not support your central theme. Remember, the Common App, you only have 650 words for your personal statement. So if you are having trouble going over that, the first place to cut are those the irrelevant information that's not needed. This will create a focused and a cohesive essay that effectively communicates your personal story and experiences. And remember that each sentence adds value. You only have 650 words. Every word is important of what you're trying to get across. So make sure to stay focused and keep your eyes on the prize. It's important, especially when you're trying to put a lot into a short amount of word space.
And here are some final tips to help you write your personal statement. So some tips are writing a strong conclusion, right? We keep going back to the point of having a strong introduction and conclusion because we want to avoid repetition. So you want to have a very central theme, you want to be focused, and you want to avoid repeating the same information over and over. Rather, you should focus on using different examples and experiences to kind of really support that central idea. And the second tip is really to use an active voice. So like using I statements, right? Making sure you start from a first person perspective rather than like a third person omniscient perspective, right? Because you want to start from yourself. You want to express the viewpoint of like, these are my experiences and, you know, I am the person behind my experiences. And this can be like a really, really powerful voice to have. And make sure you use like strong verbs, descriptive adjectives, and any kind of like engaging storytelling techniques. And the third tip is really to like draft and redraft. Like essay writing is like a multiple drafts process. You have to go through edits, you have to go through, you know, brainstorming, outlining to finally like doing multiple drafts to get to that final piece. And sometimes you have a final draft and you might, you know, a few weeks later, you might want to change something, right? So it's really common. So just make sure that, you know, understanding this is part of the editing process and the writing process.
Absolutely. It's okay to keep balling up the paper, throwing it away, start, you know, don't wait till the last minute. Oh, sorry, skip too close. Make sure to talk to close friends and family. Sometimes your close circle knows you the best, right? When you're going through and you're trying to figure out what should I write on, it is great to talk to close friends and family and figure out, hey, what about these experiences? Or even sometimes they have tips to, or they recall hobbies or experiences or achievements that you've had that you overlook because you think, oh, that's too small, or that's not important enough. But in fact, that's exactly what admissions officers want to hear about. They want to hear about the genuine, what you've been through and how you've accomplished everything that you have and how you've gotten to the place that you are now. They want to learn the journey of who you are and what you have to present and how you will mesh with their particular institution. Okay, so seeking valuable insights from those who know you best can give you that different perspective of who you are and what makes you you. Reading personal statement samples. So what I will say about this, it's great. Everyone has their own method of how they begin to write. Some people, they can read a bunch of samples and that gives them an idea of, hey, this is what I know what I'll write on. Other people, the only thing I'll say, avoid trying to mimic personal statement samples that you read. Don't Google admitted Harvard essays or admitted students of these schools and their personal statements. You can get an idea from them, but don't try to mimic what they wrote because it leads to my next point of writing from an authentic place. You think that admissions officers can't tell that you are not writing genuinely, but everybody can. So try and be as you can be. We want to see that special sauce come across in the writing. You are already a star. We want to see you shine, right? That's what we want to show the admissions officers. So write about something unique to you. And remember, you are competing against others that have similar extracurriculars, similar grades, similar this. Your personal statement is the only place where you get to stand out and be as you can be. Okay, so essays can be funny, they can be positive, they can be sad, they can be anything because they're your life. So you don't need to write what you think the admission committees want to hear. They want to hear about you and everything that you've gone through to become who you are today. Okay? So just remember that. We kind of, we had the auctioneer voice today, so we went a little fast. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. You're right. The auctioneer voice, but I think it's always, hello. I think these are really the moments where we get to connect with our audience and see what questions they have for us. So I encourage you to our audience to pop in the chat and let us know your thoughts. What questions do you have about the sort of the process? And I think before we begin, maybe turning it over to our panelists and seeing if they have any additional thoughts that they'd like to add that weren't necessarily covered in the presentation.
Yeah, I will say one thing too. Another tip that I'll mention is start. Sometimes, and again, everybody's different, but being a perfectionist or thinking that you have to have this perfect theme and this perfect idea before you start writing, it sometimes is what holds us back the most. And if you procrastinate all the way till the end, I promise you it's going to sound that much worse. So start, just write, and don't be afraid to begin.
Yeah, I just want to echo that. I think it's really important to just really like put words to paper, right? Sometimes, you don't really know, what you want to write about, and that's okay. And I think that starts from just brainstorming about like important memories or moments in your life, or like something really small, like even the smallest hobbies, just something very unique about you. I think like all the, advice and tips that we can give are really like arbitrary because, these are just general guidelines for, things to look out for in the writing or in like how you should begin writing. But the actual writing, requires you to really come to terms, like sit down in your computer, like think to yourself and just put words to paper. So I would say, don't be afraid to just, put down any idea you have, even if they seem really small.
Absolutely. I'd love to pop in. So we have a really awesome resource on our website. It's called How to Write a Personal Statement. And we actually include 15 examples. Obviously, we don't encourage you to mimic every single example word for word, but it does give you a step-by-step breakdown on how to write a college personal statement and what that could look like. I'm going to put that in the chat for everyone, and that'll be some guidance. We have a ton of free tools as well. We have an entire database for you. This webinar, of course, is just to kind of get the ball rolling. I do see a question. Hello there. Hello. I have a question. While choosing my experience, is it personal connection that matters more, or is it the quality or the type of experience?
That's an excellent question. Well, okay. So you're saying, is it the personal connection or is it the quality of the type of the experience? I think it is both. I think that in order to have a quality experience, you probably do have a personal connection to it, because that's why you're doing it to the level that you are doing said experience. So I would say that it is both. And I think that the biggest thing that when you're writing about is they want to see the passion of why you are choosing to write about this experience of all experiences in your personal statement. So if you are choosing to write about this experience, it should be meaningful. It should be of quality to you. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think, if you have a brilliant story, about somebody else that has inspired you, right? In the end, you have to come back to yourself anyways, because you really want to talk about why it's important to you, why it's meaningful to you, how it has inspired you to do what you're doing, or any of your personal goals or future career goals, right? So, for example, you might have a very personal story about your parents or a role model, right? But in the end, you want to really make that connection to yourself because the reader is looking for characteristics in you, the applicant, after reading the essay. So I would say that it is important to like have both and then really come back to yourself in your essay.
Absolutely. And just piggybacking off of that too, I agree as well. I think if when you are choosing an experience to write on, I think you should really list them out, list all the experiences that you've had or that you're a part of. If you want to just write a generic, I volunteer or I help out at this soup kitchen because you think this is what admissions officers want to hear, it's not. That doesn't matter to us. We want to know. We want to sense how important this was to you. Did you were you committed? Were you making a change in said organization? Were you doing something that you were really passionate about? We want to see that come across in the essay. We want to see all of these wonderful things that you were working on come across in the essay. We don't want you to just say it. Don't just tell us, show us how this was important to you. If you want a swim meet, let us go through the process with you of how you practice every single day. We want to feel the blood, sweat, and tears in your essay versus you just saying, I practiced for a swim meet and I won this competition. We want to see the entire process out and we want those 5 senses to come across. Okay.
Fantastic. We're going to keep the ball rolling. So the next question is, should you select one of the prompts and write to the prompt, or write whatever you want to say and select the best fit prompt to match up? Which approach works better?
Do you want to go?
Yeah, I would say the prompts are there as guides to help you think about what you want to like write about. You know, they're not fixed. You know, you don't really have to write exactly to answer them. I would say avoid like just having a very generic standard like question answer response, right? Because, you know, going back to like what is the purpose of a personal statement is for the readers to get a sense of who you are, like what makes you stand out, what are your passions, you know. So you want to really make sure you write about something that's really significant to you rather than just fitting any kind of like answer to the prompts. So I would say don't let the prompts like limit you from writing what you want to write about. And it's really about like, what do you want to write about? That's really important when you're first considering like, you know, which prompts you want to answer.
Absolutely. And that again would be a great thing to check out. Quad Education, you know, the personal statement samples that you can look through just to kind of get an idea of, hey, this is direction of how they wrote this prompt. Again, if the question is describe a meaningful experience, you don't want to answer it just as Kai said, I had a meaningful experience doing this. No, we don't want just a generic answer, because remember, we want to feel what you've gone through. Show us, don't tell us. And I would say, again, just echoing what she's already said, when it comes to the prompt, it's like a map. You can go into a park without a map and you'll stumble across and get to where you're going. But this is a guide of how you can follow and get to the direction a little bit more smoother if you need the direction.
I'd love to throw in a question that was previously sent in to us by an individual who couldn't actually make it to tonight's webinar. But what are some of the common personal statement mistakes that you see students make, whether that's, you know, relying on a cliche or maybe even choosing an inappropriate topic?
Yes, I think a big one I see is reiterating like your activities list in your personal statement. I think sometimes students think like, oh, you know, I need to like talk about all my accomplishments and list all of them in my personal statement. But that is actually not a really good idea, because first, you know, admissions officers, they have access to your personal, like your activities list, right? So they can see everything you've done. And also, if you want to write about all your experiences and achievements and all the activities you've done, you have too much, right? You don't have a really focused essay. And that's why we were talking about, in our guide, it's like we make sure you want to have a central theme. So I would say, make sure if you want to talk about your extracurriculars or pick one out of your activities list, make sure it's a very meaningful one and one that you feel like you can dive deeper in, rather than just using the space and just like reiterating and just listing those achievements and activities lists.
I love that. That's so true. And think of your application like an onion. You are layering it, right? So the personal statement should not be everything that you've already stated. It should be something. It should be new. It should be more extensive, more personal, so to speak. And also, I would say another common pitfall is two of them. Thinking that you have to write on something sad in order to be admitted, or something just very detrimental. There are the admissions officers want to see transformation. Sure, they want to see how you've developed into who you are today. It doesn't have to be negative. It can be anything, as we said before. It just has to show who you are and how and why this is important that you're sharing it. And then a second thing too is that people they write how they think the admissions officers want them to sound. They look up the school. They think, okay, everyone at this school, if it's MIT, everyone at this school is research focused, so I should sound like this. Or if I'm going to this liberal arts school, I should sound like. Write freely, write genuinely as you are. Use words that you would use. Don't try and sound how you think you should sound. Sound authentic. Be as you can be. Avoid using words that you would not normally use just because it's a SAT plus word. Try and be genuine. Speak aloud things that you're thinking of writing. Sometimes you can voice record and write, or voice record to hear it back later to write. It's okay to just brainstorm out loud too with friends and family.
Yeah, I just want to add one more small comment. It's like sometimes there's this pressure to feel like, oh, you have to write about something really big, or like a big accomplishment you've done in your life, like you've helped change this, community, or like you've done something really big. But that's not necessarily true. Like, it is great if you have that experiences, right? But I think for a lot of students, starting from something really small actually can really make you stand out, because you're being really genuine and unique, right? Sometimes you can start with the smallest event, something that maybe other people doesn't even think is really that important, but it's really about the way you write about the small things that can sometimes matter a lot. So you don't really have to start off with something super big. You can choose something really small, but just write it in a way that really shows who you are. So just don't feel pressure that you have to write about something big.
Absolutely.
I'd love to add on a question to that. Should they be avoiding writing about topics related to their major?
I would say the supplemental essays will be more major focused or more school related focused. So you don't have to do that in your personal statement. If there is an event that happens to be related or correlating to the major, then so be it. If this is something that you want to write on, but it doesn't have to be major focused. So if you're pre-med, your personal statement doesn't have to be all about medicine or your interest in lab research. It doesn't have to be that, unless that was something that was pivotal to you.
Fantastic. And we'd sort of, I think I want to take this one step further and ask you both, what's the number one piece of advice you have for parents or students who are going through this process?
Go ahead. It's a big question.
Got you. One, procrastination sounds fun until it's not. Don't wait till the last minute. If you can start in the process and you have the ability to have a counselor or someone who can help give advice on how the process can go smoother, I would take advantage of it. I would also say it's great to just brainstorm and write multiple drafts. You have time before you're submitting that final draft, unless you're, even if you're a junior right now, you still have time to get multiple drafts in place. That way you can kind of work through themes and essays that you're still thinking or on the fence about whether you want to go in that direction. Work even with, even as you're even closer to the deadline date, you can still refine. It's not the final. You can still even learn things over the summer that you want to include, experiences in the summer that you want to include into your essay as well.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Yeah, like it's really practical to make sure that you start early, brainstorm ideas. Don't be like too fixated on an idea if you feel like you don't really have things to write about. And the thing I like to tell my students is think of the personal statement as a story, right? Think about this being a story of your life or of some part of your life that you want to express, you want to tell to a reader. And I think making it into a story allows you to be creative, and it's also a way for you to really learn about yourself, right? Learn about what really matters to you and how you want to portray yourself to others. It's a really good self-discovery process, through writing the personal statement. So I would say just take it, although it's really scary, it is a big pressure to want to have the perfect personal statement, but also making sure that you allow yourself to have this creativity when writing or when brainstorming any ideas for it, because it is something that will help tell somebody about who you are. So I would just say take it in that creative way as well.
And it's therapeutic, in my opinion. I think it's fun. Just get your idea, get everything that you've gone through out on paper.
Absolutely. And I think before even getting it out on paper, we had a few questions asking about sort of the brainstorming of personal statement topics. We actually did a webinar on this last week, so I'm going to pop that in the chat for you individuals who maybe aren't ready to get it, your thoughts down to paper and still are in that brainstorming phase. I apologize. I just dropped it in the chat for everybody. In that particular webinar, we talk about how a personal statement actually impacts your application, how it can help you, how we can help you, and how to develop a strong personal statement, the steps to take, and we have some successful brainstorming tips in there as well. So we recommend you check that out. I think that it's this webinar is very much a follow-up to that. And if you haven't watched last week's, we recommend you take a moment to do so. I think we are just about at the end, but we have time for one last question. So Ethan asks, could I write one of the activities in the activity list in details in the additional information essay part if the activity is a very part of my high school life? Just to rephrase this question a little bit, asking about writing about one of the activities in the activity list because that particular activity is very near and dear to this individual and their high school experience.
I got you. So in the additional information portion, I would say, okay. And I would say too, for that additional information section, treat that as these are very important details that I can't put into my application, so I have to put it here. I would just remember that admissions officers are reviewing many applications. So when you're putting things in the additional information essay, it should be very pertinent, very, it's not squeezing extra resume bullet points in unless they are very critical to put. If you want to write more in detail on an activity from your activities list, I would say that might be something that you weave into a supplemental essay, or even something pivotal, if this is a heavy part of your high school life, maybe that's something that you want to expound further on within your supplemental essay and within one of the body paragraphs. Maybe you weave it into your personal essay if it's that integral of your high school life.
Yeah, I think additional information is really for students if they have certain circumstances, in their life that they want to talk about. These could be like difficulties or really personal challenges, or if you have gone through some significant health issues. I think those are some common things students write about. Or if you want to explain maybe a grade difference in one of your years in high school, I think that's the space to do it. So I wouldn't recommend really using that as just more details to boost your resume. I would say try to weave it either into your personal statement or your supplementals as well.
Fantastic. Okay, one last question, and I think I can answer this one. Do fancier literary skills get me brownie points? Not necessarily, but fantastic question. We absolutely love that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're a little bit past the 45-minute mark, and that's all the time we have for now for this particular topic. Thank you so much for listening. Keep an eye out on your email for a link to schedule your own consultation, or please reply to the email with any questions you may have. We are here to support you, and we're here to, whether you book a call or not, we're here to assist. Thank you very much, ladies, for being here tonight, and thank you, audience. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening.